वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदयान्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुरेत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, Verse 2. स च कदाचित् पित्रलोककामसुरवर वनितकृदचलद्रोण्यां भगवन्तम् विश्वाश्रजां पतिम् अभृतपरिचर्यपुकरान् आत्मैकाग्रेण तपस्व्याराध्यां बभूव. Synonyms: Saha, he, King Agnitra, Cha, also, Kadachit, once upon a time, Pitraloka, the Pitralok planet, Kama, desiring, Suravara, of the great demigods, Vanita, the woman, Akrida, the place of pastimes, Achala Dronyam, in one valley of the Mandara hill, Bhagavantam, unto the most powerful Lord Brahma, Vishwasrajam, of personalities who have created this universe, Patim, the master, Abhrata, having collected, Paricharya Upakarana, ingredients for worship, Atma, of the mind, Ekagrena, with full attention, Tapasvi, one who executes austerity, Aradhyam Babhuva, became engaged in worshipping. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: desiring to get a perfect son and become an inhabitant of Pitralok, Maharaj Agnidra once worshipped Lord Brahma, the master of those in charge of material creation. He went to a valley of Mandara hill where the damsels of the heavenly planets come down to stroll. There he collected garden flowers and other necessary paraphernalia, and then engaged in severe austerities and worship. Purport: the king became Pitraloka Kama, or desirous of being transferred to the planet named Pitralok. Pitralok is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pitran Yanti Pitra Vrata. To go to this planet, one needs very good sons who can make offerings to Lord Vishnu and then offer the remnants to their forefathers. The purpose of the Shraddha ceremony is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, so that after pleasing him, one may offer prasad to one's forefathers and in this way make them happy. The inhabitants of Pitralok are generally men of the Karmakandiya or fruitive activities category who have been transferred there because of their pious activities. They can stay there as long as their descendants offer them Vishnu Prasad. Everyone in heavenly planets, such as Pitralok, however, must return to earth after exhausting the effects of his pious acts. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.21, Kshine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti. Persons who perform pious acts are transferred to higher planets, but when the effects of their pious acts are over, they are again transferred to earth. Since Maharaj Priyavrat was a great devotee, how could he have begotten a son who desired to be transferred to Pitralok? Lord Krishna says, Pitran Yanti Pitra Vrata. Persons who desire to go to Pitralok are transferred there. Similarly, Yanti Mad Yajino Pimam. Persons who desire to be transferred to the spiritual planets, Vaikuntha Lokas, can also go there. Since Maharaj Agnitra was the son of a Vaishnava, he should have desired to be transferred to the spiritual world Vaikuntha. Why then did he desire to be transferred to Pitralok? In answer to this, Goswami Giridhar, one of the Bhagavatam commentators, remarks that Agnitra was born when Maharaj Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. This may be accepted as a fact because sons are begotten with different mentalities according to the time of their conception. According to the Vedic system, therefore, before a child is conceived, the Garbhadhana Samskar is performed. This ceremony molds the mentality of the father in such a way that when he plants his seed in the womb of his wife, he will beget a son whose mind will be completely saturated with a devotional attitude. At the present moment, however, there are no such Garbhadhana samskaras, and therefore people generally have a lusty attitude when they beget children. Especially in this age of Kali, there are no Garbhadhana ceremonies. Everyone enjoys sex with his wife like a cat or dog. Therefore, according to Shastric injunctions, almost all the people of this age belong to the Shudra category. Of course, although Maharaj Agnitra had a desire to be transferred to Pitralok, this does not mean that his mentality was that of a Shudra. He was a Kshatriya. Maharaj Agnitra desired to be transferred to Pitralok and therefore he needed a wife because anyone desiring to be transferred to Pitralok must leave behind a good son to offer yearly pinda or prasad from Lord Vishnu. To have a good son, Maharaj Agnitra wanted a wife from a family of demigods. Therefore, he went to Mandara hill, where the women of the demigods generally come to worship Lord Brahma. In Bhagavad Gita 4.12, it is said, Kangshanataha karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha. Materialists who want quick results in the material world worship demigods. This is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Aishwarya Praje Savaha. Those who desire beautiful wives, substantial wealth, and many sons worship the demigods. But an intelligent devotee, instead of being entangled by the happiness of this material world in the form of a beautiful wife, material opulence, and children, desires to be immediately transferred back home, back to Godhead. Thus, he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I humbly bow down and seek blessing from all the assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself, and please forgive me for any shortcomings. I have taken notes from lecture by senior devotees. Here we see Maharaj Agnitra, son of Maharaj Priyavrat, is materially desirous to gain a place in Pitralok planets, and he is doing severe austerities. Thus, he is going away from the actual path of devotional service which his ancestors like Maharaj Priyavrat, Swayambhuva Manu, Lord Brahma, Narad Muni, etc., they all paved in. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that material desires are like anchor. He used to narrate an interesting story. Once there was a marriage party and they had to cross the river to reach the other side for the wedding ceremony. To save time, they decided to go on a boat during the night time. While they were all asleep on a boat, the boatman was engaged in paving the boat whole night. But in the morning, they saw they were at the same place, even though the boatman was working very hard to cross the river. They finally realized that the boatman had forgot to take the anchor out from the ground, and the boat was going in circles in the same place. Similarly, material desires are like anchor. They obstruct our path to go back home, back to Godhead. Many times, devotees think why they are not advancing in their spiritual life. It's because we are cultivating material desires. Most people fall prey to wrong type of desires. The propensity to have desire is not bad. Having desire is an essential element of a spirit soul. But one should know where to desire and what to desire. One cannot be desireless in this material world. It's not possible. Different acharyas have different desires. Once a devotee asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you say we should have selfless desires, but if someone has a desire to go back to the spiritual world, is it a selfish desire? Prabhupada replied, at a neophyte stage, we are all attached to this material world. Therefore, we need to have a desire to go back to Godhead. Else, we will live in this world always. But as one progresses in Krishna consciousness, one gets deeper and deeper realizations. Then he sees that material and spiritual world are non-different because he serves Krishna in both places. In fact, many times devotees see that in this material world there is much more opportunity to serve Krishna than in spiritual world. Many times we see Vaishnava acharyas say they want to stay in this material world and serve the devotees, enlighten the fallen souls. We see here that Maharaj Agnitra also has desire, but such material desires can never give permanent happiness. The characteristic of material desires is that as soon as one is fulfilled, another comes to the mind. For example, many times we go to the ocean. Sometimes one or two fish pops up from the water. But actually, in the deep ocean, there are millions of fish. Similarly, in our life, we might think that we have only one or two desires to fulfill. So, right now, one desire is popping out. But when we go deep, we realize that we have unlimited desires that are yet to be fulfilled. When one desire is satisfied, another one pops out. There is no end to material desires. And it's not easy to overcome material desires. Until we remove the anchor, the boat of spirituality is not going to progress. Then, how can one overcome these desires? Srila Prabhupada has given us 6 points on how to overcome material desires. The first is we should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, people approach demigods to fulfill their material desires. But in Bhagavad Gita 7.21 and 22, Krishna says that the steady faith that is required to worship any demigod is given by him, and the fulfillment and benefits of those desires are also bestowed by Krishna. So, if one has material desires, or if one has no desires, or if one is at the stage of transcendence, at all stages one should worship Krishna with strong devotional faith, Tivena Bhakti. Then Krishna will fulfill all the desires along with purification of the heart to achieve perfection. In previous canto, we saw the example of Dhruva Maharaj, who had a desire to have a kingdom greater than his great grandfather. But in the process of worshipping the Supreme Lord, His heart was so much purified that when the Lord appeared before him, Dhruv Maharaj compared his desire with broken pieces of glass and Lord's association to a rare diamond. This proves that if someone is unable to give up material desires, he should approach Krishna instead of any other demigods, because the Lord will purify his desires and direct towards the ultimate perfection of life. The second point is one needs to control his mind and senses to practice austerities. There are various ways to curb material desires. Yogis try to become desireless. Jnanis try to engage their mind in dry philosophical speculations and try to overcome material desires. But these are artificial ways of regulating mind and senses. The only way is by engaging them in Krishna's loving service. There are multiple examples in our Shastras, like Vishwamitra Muni or Saubhari Muni, who were trying to control their senses artificially without Krishna's devotional service. But when time came, they fell down from their position. On the other hand, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur, when approached by a prostitute, he remained completely equipoised because he had engaged his mind and senses in the service of Krishna. The third point is one should give up plans to become happy in this material world. This is known as Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. This place is a place of miseries and is temporary, and it's foolishness to make plans to become happy here. As a devotee, we should not be attached to any material facilities. We should follow our sadhana and endeavor for Krishna consciousness. And if Krishna desires, those facilities will definitely come to us in due course of time. This way, we can overcome our plans for material happiness. The fourth point is one should be aware of the consequences of cultivating material desires. Unless there is a fear of what material desires will result in, we will continue holding desires in mind and senses. In Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Krishna says, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. If someone is cultivating material desires throughout his life, he is going to remember the same at the time of death, and it becomes difficult to think of Krishna. Holding a material desire means inviting one more birth with the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. So we should have a fear of the after effects of cultivating desires for sense gratification. The fifth point is to cultivate determination in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada has given an example of a sparrow who had laid eggs near the ocean. Once, due to high tide, all her eggs went into the ocean. She asked the ocean to return the eggs, but the ocean simply laughed. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean and began to pick out water in her small beak with full determination. Seeing this, Lord Krishna became merciful and sent Garuda to help this sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Similarly, we have to be determined in our Krishna consciousness, and then only we can overcome our material desires. Now, how can we get this determination? The answer is from our spiritual master. One should associate with one's guru through his words, his messages. The words of Guru are garlanded by Guru's bhakti and are carried by his determination. The sixth way is to develop a higher taste in Krishna consciousness. Bhagavad Gita 2.59 says, one may give up sense gratification, but the taste remains. unless one develops higher taste in Krishna consciousness. We have to develop taste in hearing, chanting, and association of devotees. By regularly reading Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever is unwanted in the heart will be removed. Thus, one can properly cultivate spiritual desires and go back home, back to Godhead. I'll stop here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo